Coming up in our next hour, from a war in the desert to a battle in West Palm Beach, the images of the year gone by.
It's 11 till the hour. Like frames of a film flickering past a projector lens, so are the days of our lives, or at least Joel Siegel's life. And Joel is here this morning to take a look at the year in pictures in 1991. Joel,
Good morning,
a good year?
Nancy. It was a good year. Remember, in the movies, it used to be the U.S. cavalry who would come to the rescue, but this year, they weren't wearing blue or riding horseback. He was wearing red and driving reindeer. It was Santa Claus who saved Hollywood in the nick of time. And you know what he brought to fill their Christmas stockings? Money. Hollywood had a huge Christmas weekend. The holiday might produce 9 hit films. We were predicting bust, but now it seems 1991 will be flat compared to last year at the box office, though on the screen it was something else again.
Just once, I would like to hear you scream in pain.
Play some rap music.
And Bruce was not alone. Vanilla Ice's career melted away in 1991, and not only did no one care, no one even noticed. Among the year's other flops, V.I. Warshawski couldn't shoot straight, The Butcher's Wife couldn't cut it, The Rocketeer couldn't fly. John Candy dreamt he was starring in his own soap opera. He should have dreamt he was starring in a movie that made money. He had 2 flops in 91. John Hughes, who did Home Alone last year, should have stayed there this year. He had 3. And what happened to Scenes from a Mall? When I heard about it, the only way it could have been better was if Bette sung. When I watched it, the only way it could have been worse was if Woody sung. Who sang in Hudson Hawk?
Would you rather be a pig?
Maybe he should have tried rap, the flop of the year. But if 91 was a bad year for Hawks, it was a good year for Seagulls. Armand Assante played Bugsy Siegel in The Marrying Man. Richard Grieco played Bugsy Siegel in Mobsters. 3rd time's a charm. Warren Beatty's Bugsy is a cinch for a mob Oscar nomination, and this year all 5 Oscar nominees might be who played characters with more loose screws than a 54 Nash. Robin Williams, a homeless schizophrenic in The Fisher King. Anthony Hopkins, a serial killer in Silence of the Lambs. Nick Nolte barely surviving a wildly dysfunctional family in Prince of Tides, and Robert De Niro with a fear in Cape Fear.
Come out, wherever you are.
The biggest film of the year?
Trust me.
Arnold in Terminator 2, the most expensive movie ever made. It's already made money, one of 5 $100 million hits in 1991.
No problemo.
And after this Christmas, Hook, The Addams Family, and Beauty and the Beast will also be $100 million hits. Steven Spielberg will not have to walk the plank. They are all family films, but films aimed at grown-ups did well, too. Prince of Tides opened to oceans of business, and my favorite variety headline of the year, Bugsy Slays 'Em. Something else happened at the end of the year. Labor Day, I was afraid there'd be 3 movies on my 10 best list. But 91 turned out to be a good year at the movies. Cape Fear, Ramblin' Rose, 2 terrific documentaries. Paris is Burning and Hearts of Darkness missed the cut. But here are the 10 that made it in roughly reverse alphabetical order, starting with the best movie line of 1991.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner.
Silence of the Lambs, not just a great horror film, a great film, period. Have you ever been this scared at the movies?
Shoot the radio. The police radio, Louise.
Thelma and Louise, one of the year's best, and buddy movies will never be the same. If writer Pat Conroy had seen Nick Nolte act, he would have called this King of Tides. Speaking of royalty, The Fisher King. It's Monty Python meets It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, but what we publish is mostly trashy romance novels.
Don't say that. There's nothing trashy about romance. You find some pretty wonderful things in the trash.
The Commitments, because it's the most fun I had at the movies all year. And when I was a kid, I thought the song was about a car.
Mustang Sally, my baby. Guess you better slow the Mustang down.
That's okay. Billy Crystal thought it was about a horse. What'd you like best, the scene about the VCR? Or Jack Palance, who has to be nominated for an Oscar? Any way you look at it, City Slickers delivered.
Look what I did. I made a cow.
He looks like you.
Boys in the Hood from first-time director 23-year-old John Singleton, powerful and important.
You're my only son, and I'm not going to lose you to no bull, you hear?
Barton Fink, a movie for movie lovers about Hollywood as hell. Hollywood's always loved gangsters, but Bugsy Siegel was the first gangster who fell in love with Hollywood. Director Barry Levinson swore to me he had no idea Warren Beatty and Annette Bening were playing these scenes for real. He thought they were acting.
Now, what exactly does Mr. Russell want from Miss Virginia?
Right now,
Mr. Esther is having a tremendous amount of difficulty imagining anything he doesn't want from Miss Virginia.
And this is my choice for the best movie of the year. Not only does it deserve to be Oscar nominated, check out the score. Beauty and the Beast deserves the Tony as the best Broadway musical of the year.
They can sing, they can dance. After all, miss, this is France, and the dinner here is never second best. Go on, unfold your menu, take a glance, and then you'll be our guest. We our guest, be our guest.
Just a great film, and I'm angry at the LA Film Critics and the National Board of Review for giving this a special award or putting it in an animation category. Don't shunt it aside. It's a movie and a great one. It deserves a nomination. The Oscar ballots go out in January. The nominations are announced in February. I love this, and the early favorites has to be between Silence of the Lambs and Bugsy.
One movie that I saw yesterday that I noticed didn't make your 10 best, The Inside Circle.
Inner Circle.
The Inner Circle that I saw yesterday, which was a wonderful film. Obviously,
there were,
a look at the Stalinist era.
I started with a list of 25 films, narrowed it down to 10, and I really was afraid in Labor Day there'd only be 3. This was a good year at the movies.
It was amazing. Tom Hulce yesterday was fabulous, and boy, it was
made your
it was
10
great.
best, huh?
And I saw The Prince of Tides, and that made my 10 best. It's been a big year.
Next year I'm doing surgery. You do the 10 best.
Joel, thanks a lot, and Happy New Year.
You too.
We'll be back in just a minute, so stay with us.
Minutes past the hour. You know, hardly a week has gone by this year without a visit from at least one of our house doctors, either Dr. Tim Johnson or Dr. Nancy Snyderman, trying to explain exactly whatever medical topic was currently making the headlines. That at 91 is kind of drawing to a close. We've asked them back to look over the past year in medicine and to see which stories, which studies and findings and they think are going to have long-term impacts on our health. Dr. Nancy Snyderman and our medical editor, Dr. Tim Johnson, here for a rare duet. Wow.
We like it this way.
Boy, I tell you what, the bill's going to be enormous, I can tell you that. Why don't you start with you, Tim? Why don't you give us an idea of the medical, you know, we hear about breakthroughs all the time. What are the ones that are really going to have an impact on
Well, you know, we go through this exercise every year and we try to guess, which is all we can really do. This year we have a little help because the Harvard Health Letter staff, its advisory board, was given a list of possibilities for the top 10, and they voted on them. And so what Nancy and I are going to do this morning is present their view of the top 10. And I'll go through the first 5, and Nancy will go through the next 5. In October, the NIH announced that first human gene therapy, that is giving genes into blood cells for a human immune deficiency condition. That was number 1 on their list. Number 2 was this study in September announced by the Nurses' Health Study that postmenopausal women taking estrogen had half the rate of heart attacks. So another important study showing the benefit of estrogen. In July, there was a study showing that a new genetically engineered drug can help people with chemotherapy keep their white blood cell count up. Number 4, they label this the decade of the mouse because the mouse is now being widely used to screen drugs and to test human diseases. And number 5, a new drug for treating mild congestive heart failure, still a very common cause of death, shown to be very successful. Those were the first 5 on the list. Nancy?
There's also, I understand now, breakthroughs regarding high blood pressure in older people.
Exactly. This is systolic hypertension, or the top number of your blood pressure reading. And what makes this so significant is that for years doctors have been reluctant to treat this in older patients because the drugs could have serious side effects. But now for systolic hypertension, they are treating that top number, and they found that that reduces the number of strokes and heart attacks in older people. Number 7 on the list had to do with muscular dystrophy. And this was a mice study where they took a gene injected into mice that lacked the ability to make a certain protein. It corrected that, and they think that may, in fact, unlock a potential cure for muscular dystrophy. Number 8, very interesting study, and it directed what we already know about aspirin and the use in men, and that is a Nurses' Health study showed that aspirin can help ward off heart attacks in women as well as it does in men, taking about an aspirin a day. Number 9 had to do with laparoscopic surgery. We talked about doing this for gallbladder surgery. It's like telescopic surgery. Safe, cuts down on the operative time, looks like it's a real breakthrough for surgery. And a new diabetes vaccine, which will probably appear in the next decade, I would imagine. And number 10, and I think this is one of great import, colon cancer gene. We've now sort of targeted the gene that in some people probably predisposes them to getting colon cancer, and since that's a leading or a major killer in this country, I think it's a huge breakthrough.
Awful lot of